screen?
Yes.
Yes.
That's great. Okay. So this is our first class for the Java for Beginner. And let me have a quick survey. Any one of you has learned Python before?
I was in your class, so yeah.
Yeah, I believe Eric, Ivan, and both of you are take Python class before, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. So anybody can tell me, I know you probably don't really know much about Java yet, but just in case you heard some buzzword about Java, so what's really the difference between the Java and Python you think you know? Or you can tell me just, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so I assume you don't really know much about what's the difference between Java and Python. Python, actually, it's really relatively new compared to Java. Java, it really was invented back to 1995. I believe Python was invented at 2005 or 2006. But that's not really the real difference, because any language can be reinvented, right? So I can invent a language called Dalamiya. Okay, if I invent a language called Dalamiya, it's just invented at 2020, but that doesn't mean anything. So to make a language to become a computer language, it requires a couple of very important features. The number one is that it must be able to be easy to learn. Number two is that it must be powerful enough to use to build different kind of applications, right? The number three is that sometimes you have to make your programming language not only easy to learn, also easy to build the program, also to be flexible. This flexibility is not really something you may fear. But if you know that, I know you use a MacBook, right? So you use MacBook, but I use a Windows-based notebook. So we really use totally different what we call operating system. So we are really use different kind of computer. But if you want to build an application on Windows, it may not really work on MacBook. On the reverse side, it's also true. If you build something on the MacBook, it may not really work on the Windows. So that's why some genius from Sun Microsoft, that's a company, he invent a concept, and the first language is Java. That concept, it really means cross-platform compatibility. So that means the use language which can be compiled, and then it can be run on different devices. So that means you can build something on Windows, and then you can just recompile and run that on MacBook. Or you can build something for the Linux, in case you know what's a Linux. You can run that on Windows. So that means cross-platform compatibility. It's very, very important, because traditionally, we build the application just for one platform, but that's not really very efficient because we have multiple different platforms, right? Okay, so over the time, I will let you guys know what that really means, why it's so important. Okay, let's start. Most in-demand programming language in 2020, it's really come in the end of 2019. Industry-wide, it's still the Java. Java still control majority of the market share for the programming. If you are really working in the company. Python is very close to the second. Anybody know what's the JavaScript? Or you heard about JavaScript? Okay, if it's not heard about that, it's okay. Probably you don't really pay much attention to that, but you probably heard about C++, right? And all of these are different programming language. So this is just a quick compare. And why we need to learn Java? If you already learned Python, why we need to learn Java? To be honest, Java is a little bit more challenging than Python, but it's very flexible. It's not that hard to understand. If you know Python, you probably know some of this similar concept. So it's not really super challenging. And it's also another object-oriented language. I will let you know what's really the object-oriented language, because when you learn Python, you probably don't really pay much attention to that. That's some kind of what's so-called advanced feature. But for Java, that's a must-have. So every code right in Java is the object-oriented. So that means it's class-based. We will teach about that later. So who uses Java? Oh, it's a lot of companies. Majority of the big companies, they use Java. So you can see a lot of companies. You probably know the name: Netflix, Google, Apple, Intel, Lhasa, and also Adobe, and a lot of different companies, from big company to small company, even to the school. Yeah, okay. So what I can do with Java? Java, it's really very powerful, and it has been invented at 1995. So over 25 years of a period of time, it has been developed so advanced. So it can be used to develop the GUI application. Anybody can tell me what the GUI means? Yeah, just make a guess. Okay, so I give you a hint. The G means graphics. So it's just like the GPU, right? So if you play the game, you build your own machine, you probably say, oh, I need a GPU. That G means graphics. So what the U means? So when you come over to log in to the room, or you log into the Google, what you are? You are a user, right? So you are really, it's a user here. So that means graphic user was I. Think about that. So whenever you are running something in the browser, for example, you watch YouTube video, right? Let me see if I can start a YouTube video somewhere. Okay, so for example, I have the YouTube video here. So what do you think about this? This is really something called the user interface. So that means I am a user, and this is really the interface for me, right? So the GUI means graphic-based user interface. So if I type it in here, that's graphic user interface. Okay, that's GUI. Okay, easy to understand, but for the first time, you probably never really pay attention to that. And then you can use Java to build the website. You probably don't really know too much about how come the Java can build a website. They do. Java has something which has been used to write what's so-called a different framework. And it can use to scrap the data from the website. So anybody know what the scrap means here? Why we need to scrap data from the website? If that means WikiLeaks or something like the hacker? Yeah, you can unmute yourself and just speak out if you think you know the answer. Okay, so the scrap data, let me show you something quick. So everybody know what's scrap data from website demo. Okay. So when you find some data from certain website which is useful, okay, I don't replay by all those videos, but the basic idea is that sometimes you find some of this data from certain website, but that website is constantly changed. You want to grab this data from certain website, that means scrap data. So that means you can scrap data from like the game site, so you know what ranking you are when you play so hard to try to make yourself to be placed on the higher ranking. So you can scrap the data from website. Okay, another thing is Java can do is analyze the data. So that means you have a lot of data, but you want to figure out whether this is really useful. Just another example from the game. So you probably play the game with your friend, but sometimes you are playing better or you are playing slightly slower than your peer. So if you have the chart, you will know, how I respond to each step and what really the game I'm good at. And if I'm not very good at this game, how can I really make the improvement, right? So that's really analysis. So you need a lot of data to do the analysis. System administration task. This is pretty much like the administration office in your school. Instead of they manage the computer, your school, they manage the student and teacher, right? So they are doing the same thing. They are trying to manage something. And also about the game development. A lot of games were developed by Java. Okay, so what Java can do, quickly go over. They can build the application for the mobile app. They can build some of this business application. They can build game, and they can build the trading application. So in case you have interest to know how to build an automatic trading system, Java has been used for that. And you can use the big data technology to build something which is super useful, and then you can find the right information for you. Okay, so now let's get started about Java. And just like every time we find something new, we always try to figure out what's the history behind the thing. So the Java is really invented by this guy. This is not the only guy invented. They have a group of team here. But the James Gosling from Sun Microsoft, he's the principal engineer, along with Michael and Patrick. They invent Java project by 1991. That's very interesting. But I know 1995 is really the time to start to make the big push to the industry. Java is an interpret language. I will talk about what's an interpret language slightly late. So different aspects of Java. So what's a JDK? Really, a lot of people get confused. Okay, I know the Java, and what's really the JDK really means? The JDK refers to, if you check here, the Java Development Kit. It's really some kind of, we call it environment. It was used to develop the Java application and applet. You probably don't really able to figure out what the applet means. I will show you slightly later. So you just need to understand the JDK means a bunch of tools which can help you to build the Java application. So that's the most important part. It has a couple of components, something called the JRE, so that Java runtime environment, and it has the interpret, or called loader, Java. It has the compiler, Java C, and it also has something called archive, it's jar, and it can generate a document, Java doc, and a lot of other tools. I will show you what that really means. Just give me 1 minute. I just go to my own computer, just show you where I install my Java, and then you can figure out. Okay, now I move my it's a little bit slow. Okay, yeah, it's here. Can you see this window, right? So this is the JDK. Of course, it has been installed over here. After the installation, we have something called the bin. So that's something, it's really, we call it binary. So that means that's something really helps you to run. So this is the bin. You can see a lot of stuff here. You don't have to worry too much about this because most of this have nothing to do with what we will learn here, but you just need to know a couple of important tools. One is called Java. This is really used to run Java code. Java C, it's really a compiler. So if you don't really know what compiler really means, you can think it like this. Compiler, it's pretty much like you have a lot of code, but this code are really just what you can read. The computer don't really understand that. So the compiler, what they do is that they try to translate the human readable code into the machine readable code. So that means, for example, you speak English, right? But whatever you speak cannot really be understood by another guy who speaks Spanish. So they need some kind of translator. So this compiler, you can think about something like a translator. So they translate between the Java code into the machine code. The machine can understand. So that's the most important part you should remember. And the include, it's something what we call header. This is another stuff which you may get lost, but don't worry about that. For beginner, you just need to know that we have some kind of library. We will call this library just built for us. JRE is another thing called the Java Runtime Environment. They have its bin library. The typical answer for JRE, the difference between JRE and JDK is that JRE is only the bare-bones stuff which can run all kind of Java application for you. They don't really include anything additional. They don't really include anything on top of that. So the JRE, they have a lot of stuff, but they don't really have something other than what's the minimum requirement. The library is really something easy to get confused. Just like you go to your school library, right? So you want to find, I want to find a library about the physics. So you will find a couple of books about physics. The library here is the same thing. So if you find something like the library tools, this library contains a lot of tools. So you will learn how to use these tools. But again, as a beginner, you don't really have to worry too much about what's inside each library. Okay, so that's basically how the JDK looks like. And you may also see I have different JDK, right? I have another JDK here. And the difference is that the Java was constantly make the improvement. So they release different kind of JDK. For example, this JDK was called version 11. This JDK is called version 1.8. So it's different version. Just like you have Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty 4. That's different version, right? So you play different game or different version of the game. It's the same game, but it has been improved over the time. Okay. Now this is much easier to see, and I put side by side so you can compare them. Okay. Yeah. You can see they have set of the library, so that's referred to here, right? So you can see this library, RT, and then you have the JVM stuff. And then you have development tool that's inside the bin. You can see the Java, Java C, Java P, and Java W. Okay, I will quickly explain each one of this later, not at this time. JRE is referred to here. And JVM is not really exist unless you are really start your Java environment. So that means this one is virtual machine. Again, you may get confused about what virtual machine means. The virtual machine means they are not really thought as the real machine over there. Instead, they try to build something virtual. They are not really exist as a separate machine. Instead, they are really inside the physical machine, just as portion of that physical machine. Okay. Now let's move on. This one will be quick. I just quickly go through that. So you will see Java have different release. They have the very first release at 1995. Then they start release 1.1, blah, 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 all the way to Java 6, 7, 8, right? And 9, 10, 11. Oh, now they even have 12. But anyway, so the basic idea is that Java will constantly make the improvement. So they cover more and more library that has been used by different aspects. So that's a very important part of Java. So how to install the Java? In case you are not installed the Java yet, so copy and paste this one line and go to here. Download it. So you can see here you have the Java SE 13. Oh, so they have the latest version, it's even 13. And then you can see the JDK download. Just click the JDK download. Okay. Right at here, they will ask you for the license. So you have to move down and see which one you will install, because they have the JDK for different operating system. So it's for different kind of system. So for most of us, we probably install the Windows x64. That means 64-bit installer. But some of you may install the Mac OS. Occasionally, you probably install the Linux. For me, I only need to take care of this. So I click this. Okay, now show me this. Review and accept this. You must accept this. Otherwise, they don't really let you to start to download. So you click this checkbox and then you start to download. Okay. This will be a little bit bigger than a small piece of software, so it will download about half a minute. So I don't wait over here. Instead, I put this on the back side. Let's move on from here. So if you follow this, you will find the most important part is that find the right version and find the right operating system for you. So for most of us, we choose this one, Windows 64 installer, and click this one. And just like event here, you probably install the Mac OS installer, so you can install this one. Or occasionally, if you already installed the Java, you don't feel like to bother to install a new version of Java, you can skip this step. It doesn't really matter because for me, I probably skip this, but I want to show you guys, so I just double click this one. Okay. Let me see if it's stored. Okay, yeah, it's stored on the backend. Okay. It was really stored on another window because I have a few projects. Okay. Okay, Stephen is here. Hey, Stephen. Okay. Hello, Stephen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you are slightly late, but don't worry about that. We record the session, so and we are not really touched the most important part yet, so it's okay. You won't really miss anything really super important. Yeah, we are talking about how to install the Java. That's a piece of cake for you, I believe. Okay. So the installation is really running on the back end. I can see it. So yeah, this is really what's installation here. I click next. I don't really like their default place, so I will change it. And I will change to somewhere I like because I have my own Java directory. So I have my own Java directory. Sorry, I need to give them a version number. So yeah, so here inside the Java, I also list the JDK 13, right? 02. It's better you keep the same version number, like they have the JDK 1302, so you just use the same version number. Okay, and after that, I just click next. Then they will start to make the installation on the background, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, they'll start to run that. Oh, sorry. But there are a couple of steps very important if you pay attention to what I am talking here. They have somewhere called the default. So you can install as the default directory in case you don't want to make any change. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem for that. But sometimes if you are slightly advanced user, you probably like to find your own place. Like for me, I really like to install all of my Java version at the C drive and Java. So this directory is really the directory I installed all of my Java software. So yeah, it's up to you. So you don't really have to find your own directory to install that. Just use the default. And in case you want to use your own directory, it's probably easy for you to manage and understand and remember. Okay. And let me see how far away we install. Oh, this will take a really long time. So I don't really wait until it's finished, but instead I will move on, just see how it works. Okay, so we already installed this, and this will take quite a while. Okay, and then after the final finished installation, you just choose close to close it. And this one very important step is that you need to add Java into the system path. So you maybe get confused a little bit. I am only talking about Windows here. In case you are using the Mac, I have to add one more slide here. So I will tell you how to add the Java as a system path into the Mac. So I guarantee you I will make that enhancement. But just because most of the students here are really using Windows. So for most of you, probably this is the most important part. So for me, this is Windows 10. In case you use the Windows 7, you have slightly different interface. Okay, so in the search bar, so here is the search bar, right? And you can type the system environment. Okay, this is done. Great. So it's much faster than what I think. Okay. So in this search bar, okay, sorry. I type in the system environment. Okay, sometimes you don't have to finish all this. You can see they already show you what to find. Oh, they know you want to edit the system environment. That's okay. You just click this. But you need to double click. For most of this Windows application, you need to double click to start. Okay, so now they will pop up a window like this. So now it's the time. How can we really make the change of the system environment? So if you have this interface, you're almost there. The next step is that you will click the environment variable. You click this. So you will open one interface new window like this. They have two different parts. The first part is called the user variable for NYSU. This is a user. So for you, for example, Steven, you probably have the user variable for Steven. For Randy, you probably have the user variable for Randy. And you have another place called the system variable. System variable means they are really available for everybody, whoever uses the same computer. This part means this variable is only for you. Only when you log in as Randy, you log in as Steven, you log in as Eric, you will see your own variable. So it's really up to you to say, oh, I add the path into here, or I add the path to here. If I show you, both of them have the path. Okay, here the path is here. This is for me. And this is for everybody, whoever will log into the same computer. Okay, they are slightly different. If you see this one has the Python. This one don't really necessarily have the Python, right? Okay. So let's say I just want to keep the Java for myself. I don't really want any other body to use it. So I just click here, path. You highlight the path, and then you click the edit. For Windows 10, it's really very user-friendly. So they will list one by one. See, if you pay attention, we already have the old version of the JDK here, right? So the JDK has already been added. But in case you want to add one more, it's absolutely fine. But just make sure the system will use the latest one. So if you have two Java installed and you put both in the same path, it works. But they will only identify the very first one and they start to use it, because the system will check, oh, do we have Java here, 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 here? Here, right? So I can copy and I can add a new environment here. So see, I copy paste, I add the new Java version 13, and this one is slightly different than this. So this will not work. Why? Because the path is really used for you to check all of what's the binary. So they check all what they can be run. They don't really bother you to do something other than that. So you must go to the directory which has all of this, what's called the executable file. So this Java, C, Java, jar, this are executable. But this one, release, copyright, they don't really able to run this. So they are really looking for something like this. They're looking for something like the Java, looking for something like the Java C. Okay, so you have to change this slightly, say edit. What you need to change? Anybody can give me the answer? This didn't work. How can we change this? Okay, I give you a hint. So you just compare this to this. This one works, but this one didn't work. Why? Eric, do you know why? Or make a guess.
Because they're different.
Because what?
They're different.
Oh, because they are different? Yeah, of course they are different. But which part is different? So if you compare carefully, so here you see they are not really only have the JDK, they also have what?
Bin.
They also have the bin, right? So for the same reason, we need to make the edit and then add the bin here. Otherwise, they will not really work, right? Okay, so now we click OK. And remember, you also need to click OK here. See, this takes a short time. Unfortunately, you need to click the OK couple of times, but that's not really something typical hard. So you can practice a little bit. So for Windows, this will give you the chance to go through the system path. You add that into the system path. The whole concept of the system path means you can run the Java without really go to its own directory. So that means you don't really have to, if I start a command line. Okay. Wait a minute. Command line. Okay, yeah, it's here. Yeah, if I start the command line here, I don't really have to check. This is my directory, right? So you definitely see here we don't really have anything called Java. But do you think the Java can be identified here? Java version. Java version. It's just one version. Okay, so Java can be identified here. It's not true because something magic. It's because we put the Java bin. So here it's really, we put this one, right? So from here, you can find the Java, right? This whole path has been added into the system called system path. So they are really able to identify where is Java. So they will go to each of this location and try to figure out, oh, do I have the Java here? Do I have the, okay, I have Python, right? So I installed Python. But from here, you don't feel able to find anything about Java, right? So they skip, they go to the next place until they see here. Okay, I go to this directory. I see the Java, oh, java.exe. So I don't really put the exe here, but actually if you put the exe, it's exactly the same thing. So you can do something like this. This is exactly the same as here, java.exe from this directory. So you are not really in that directory, right? So this is a totally different directory. This directory and this directory is different, but you can run Java. So that's the beauty of the system environment. Just remember that you need to make your life easier. So you don't really have to say, okay, let me try to go to this directory and then I run my Java program. No, you don't have to. So that's very important part. It's pretty much like you can call anybody's name, but without really go to his classroom, right? So you can call Steven, but they maybe have multiple Steven at the same school. But if you put the last name with you, I'm sorry, Steven, what's your last name?
Yi,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I call Steven, there maybe have 3 or 4 different Steven in your classroom or the next to your classroom. But if I call Steven E, it's only one. So yeah, you try to find out that and you start your program and you give them the unique name and they will find it for you. That's called the system path. Okay. And now we will create a file name called the hello.java. And if you are not really know what the file system is, I will quickly go over that. because I figure out the file system is quite important. So just let me know. If you can tell me, I have no idea, or you say, I have a little bit idea about what's a file system, or you can tell me, geez, what's a file system? I never heard about that. So I go through one by one. Randy, do you know anything about file system?
No.
Do you know anything about file system?
No.
No, okay. And how about Eric? Do you know anything about file system?
No.
Okay. So how about Steven? Do you know
No.
something about? Okay. So yeah, that's what I figured out. Most of the students, even they learned a lot of stuff about the programming, they may not really know what's a file system. So that's why I create something called the lesson 0. I don't really have time to go through all of this, but I will go through some of this key concepts because I believe that's something super important. As long as you can understand what a file system, believe me, you will find that computer, it's really not only the tool for you. You can identify where it is, and you can really go to different places without really get lost. Okay. Don't worry about that. I will post this on the Google Classroom. So please join the Google Classroom. I post the Google Classroom code. So you join that. So operating system, quickly go over that. The operating system is really something as a bare bone. So that means you need something, you need operating system to run some other program. So you can think about the operating system, it's really the system to support all of other programs. So you need one whole package of software to support all other software. So when you talk about Windows, Mac, Android, Linux, iOS, you are really talking about operating system. So that's very popular stuff. I will post this in the Google Classroom, so you don't have to worry about if you don't really fully understand that. So we are focused on the file system. So what really file system means? So when you use an application to do something, like you find a paper. On that paper, you want to draw a picture. And then you want to save that paper, right? So how do you save that paper? You put that paper in a folder, right? Most times you say, okay, this folder is for me to save what's draft I put randomly. Or another folder is really something I use to keep my, for example, my math practice. And I have one more folder, it's for my music sheet. So you have 3 folders here, right? And each folder, it's really separate. But for computers, how can they really make the separation of that, like the folder? So for computer, they really have something, you must know that, they have something called the hard drive, right? Say the memory. It's really something you will lose all of this content if you have no power to your computer. So for example, you shut down your computer, whatever you see on the computer screen was all gone. Next time you start, you will not actually see the same computer screen. You probably see something different. Or sometimes you see something coming back. It's because it has been saved as a file somewhere. And the hard drive, on the other hand, they always keep and save that, so you will never get lost. Of course, the hard drive can crash, okay. Unless it crash, most majority of the time, 99.9% of time, they will keep all this file just saved for you. So you can find this file. So this is what we have the hard drive here. Right? So now you go over here, like I have this PC. Okay, you can follow what I am doing and try it on your own computer. So in case you are not sure how to spot this, you can use the Windows R and Explore. Okay, I show you. Okay, something like this. So to get this window, you will need to press that Windows button. You see that they have 4 blocks, Windows button, and then at the same time press the R. The letter R is like the robotics, and then you get this window, and then you type in something called the Explorer. Okay, so they are running on the background. Okay, so I close this one. So you will see this one. So press Windows R, and then Explorer. Okay, and then you will see this one. This is called the File Explorer. What this really means? So you probably use the Internet Explorer, you use Chrome. All of these are for different purposes. The File Explorer is really for you to check and find where is your file. So you can see I have the quick access, but you don't really have to really pay much attention to that. You drag this and move down over here, you will see your PC, right? Okay, I make this slightly bigger. And when you see this PC, you can see they have some folder. They show you this folder is because the operating system on Windows, by default, they show you something which every time you want to use something, you probably will go to one of this. You save your picture, you save your music, you save whatever download, or you save your videos. And the desktop is whatever the most useful software. You will start a document, you will write your document over there. But these are not really the most important part. For us, I believe you also need to understand what's really this. These are really called the drive. Don't get confused about this drive to the hard drive. One hard drive can be split to multiple of this drive. This drive is really called the, I don't use the term soft drive, but actually it's kind of like the soft drive. So that means one hard drive can be really split to multiple of this kind of driver. So this drive is C drive, this is C drive. Most times you install the operating system in the C drive. Let me double click the C drive. So you can see all of these are directory over there, right? So you can see this and Java. We just see the Java, right? So how about we go into the Java directory? When you go to the drive, each one of this folder is called a directory. So each directory is pretty much like your file folder. So they can contain a lot of other files, and they can also contain other folders. So for example, you have Java, I double click, it's pretty much like you open a folder, the folder name is Java. Now you can see BlueJ, IDE, JDK 180, JDK 11, JDK 13. So it's pretty much like you have a big folder which is in the cabinet of C cabinet. It's called Java. And inside that big folder, you have a couple of smaller folders. The first one is called BlueJ, and then you have, okay, let's go to the third one. So we have the JDK 1.8, double click this. You find these four are what? And these are different. So let me just ask a quick question. What's the name for this and what's the name for this? So this is something we can open, right? For example, I try to open this. I right click my mouse, and then I can edit, use the notepad. Okay, so you can see they're loading this file over here. Use this software called Notepad++. This is a very useful software. I will post a link so you can install that. So this is really a file because I can open this file, and this file is too big. I lost my patience, so I just closed it. I think it takes too long time to load it. But I can open another different file, release. Okay, this is much easier. Close. Okay. I just opened this one. Oh, it's really bad. Yeah, they try to close something which take a lot of resource. That's why. Okay, now I use this release. I open in the Notepad++. Okay, let me see. It takes should one. Okay. Oh, that's bad. They also try to open the previous one. Okay, and then you can see what's the difference. These are really files, and these are really called the folder or directory. So you have different directory. The directory is pretty much like a folder. For the same directory, you can have a lot of different files, right? See, we have the Java, we have Java C. This each individual is called one file. This is called binary file because they have something called the exe. So that means executable. Okay, and you can also move over here. This or what? Anybody can tell me what's this? Is this a file or this is a folder? Randy, do you think this is a file or this is a folder?
I don't know.
Okay, so I give you a hint. If you want to identify whether it's a file or it's a folder, just see something like this. If you see this one, do you think this is a folder?
Yes.
This icon. Yeah, right? This looks like a folder, right? So this is a folder. And if you don't see something like this, this is called a file. This is pretty much like a piece of paper you put inside a folder, right? So when you have, going back, so I have this release. I just close this. Okay, so you have this opened, this release. This is a file. So you can see all this content over here. It's pretty much like, oh, I write something over here. This is my file. But when you see this library or this bin, what you see? They have an icon here, right? So you can identify this icon, right? This icon is pretty much like a folder. So this is really a folder because this one is not really something for just one file. Instead, they have a lot of files here. Okay, I have a quick question to Stephen. Is this a folder or this is a file?
Folder.
Okay, this is a folder because you can see this is an icon here. This one can be opened, and you can see, oh. So Eric, is this platform a file or this is a folder?
It's a folder.
It's a folder. That's right.
You have to go on the top, and where it says type, you can see if it's a file or a folder.
That's great. Let's try it. Okay. So you can right-click the mouse. It takes a while. I don't know why, but let me. Okay. So you go to the property, right? Yes, that's a very good hint. So you can see here the type is file folder, right? See, this part is called file folder. This configure is a file folder. And let me close that. And I check the version.txt. Now you can see the type of the file is really a text document. And what's so-called the .txt means extension. So this is a text document which you can open. So that's totally different. So when we are create something for the Java, we are really create a file or we are create a folder. Source code, say we write some code, we want to save, we save that source code into a file or into a folder. Just think about that. So this is not really the Java code. In case we write some Java code somewhere, okay, let me see. I create a new directory called the project. Okay, I create a project directory, and then I want to write my very first Java code. How can I do it? Okay, I put my Java code just right over here. This is my Java code. Okay, so this is a folder. Okay, in case you don't really know how I create this one, I just delete this and I can show you one more time. Okay, so I delete this. And so if you go to certain directory or code folder, you can right click your mouse and then you go to the new, right? And from the new, you can choose the folder. Then they will tell you there's a new folder, but you can give them the name. So I give them the name project because I want to create project for Java. And then I double click this, then I get into this folder. It's pretty much like I open this folder, right? And then I right click my mouse, go to the new again. I go to the text document. See, just follow what I am doing. I record this so you can practice. Don't worry too much about it if you get lost. So they have the new text document.txt. But for Java, we don't be able to use the txt. We have to use something different. So you will use hello.java. See, this is a file name here. Create the hello.java file. Then you just press enter. Okay. Now you have something like this. Right-click your mouse, and then you can use any of this edit. In case you are not sure have the Notepad++, it's okay. I will choose something you already have, but later we will use slightly different IDE. But at first, we can try this one. Okay. So let me see. Open with the window. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay. I need to just open that with a tool which you have. Otherwise, you will get lost. But I will show you open with the Notepad first. So I open this with Notepad. I will send you a link about how to install the Notepad++. It's very straightforward. Okay, now I have an edit, right? So the Notepad edit is here. I type in the code from the left side. So I type in the class, hello, and make sure you have the parentheses and public static void main string arguments. You don't have to worry about too much about why I need to type in something like this. We will give you the explanation and practice slightly late, but you just need to repeat what I am doing. And make sure there's a space here, right off the bubble code. And then just put this forward, so make sure it looks nice. Okay. Now we can click this save button. Okay, so we save it. Do you think where we save this file? Anybody can tell me? Randy, can you tell me where we save this file?
Downloads.
No. Steven, where do you think we save this file?
Probably in the Java folder. But
Yeah, actually it's here. It's C drive under the Java directory. There's another directory called project. That's really where we save our file, right? So if I close this one, yeah, I just close this one, and I open it again. So what do you think you will have? You have exactly what we just typed in, right? So this is really the code we just typed in. So that's really something called a file. This is a file has been saved. So you can edit the same file again, and then you can reopen the same file again. Okay. Now let's have a quick testing of what we just learned. Okay. So I just start this because this is really at this directory. Users, okay, I go to this directory so you know where I am. So it's really at the user NYACU, right? So it has nothing to do with Java. So how can we run our code? Now you see I can run the code Java, no problem. But I can actually run the code like the Java C hello code hello.java. I cannot do it. So how can I do it? You will need to go to the directory where you just saved your file, right? So you need to go to this directory. Let me show you how to go to this directory. So you use cd space, and you can use the slash. So you will go to what we call the root. So that means you are really go to the C drive. You go to here, right? So this is really go to here. What's next? You like to go to this directory first. So you go to cd Java. Now you can see, you go to the C Java. Oh, sorry. That's exactly the C Java. This is the directory. It's like you open another folder. This folder name is called Java. And then you go to project, right? So you go to cd. Okay, if you are not really quite sure where you are, you can use the pwd. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not pwd. You can get from this name, and then you can use dir to show where you have. So from here, you can see you have exactly the same directory. You can check from here. So you know you have a project, which is a folder. You have a folder under the Java. So you type the cd project, right? It's pretty much like you click the folder. You have exactly the hello.java file here. Okay, don't feel too much confused. This is the very first class. We will go through the practice again and again. So if in terms you get lost, don't worry too much about that. Okay, so we will use the Java C. This is Java compiler to compile this. Okay, it takes a short time, but you will get it. Okay, now you use dir to display. Now you can see compared to here, you have one more class. It's called one more file called hello.class, right? So this is really important because you have one more file which was created from the hello.java. This is something we just compile and get. That's a new file which is super important. We were talking about that when we go through the course material. Now we can run this code. Java hello. You can see hello world. Why does we print out the hello world? Anybody can tell me the reason why it print out the hello world? Okay, let me show you the code. Here the code, the print out the hello, they have a space, they have a word. Is that exactly what print out here, right? How about we make slightly a change of this? So instead of the hello world, I print out somebody's name. Say, hello, Evan and Steven, Randy, Eric. Okay, you can type in anything. And we save this, right? Let's recompile it. Okay, we compile this again. And we run it again. Oh, magic. Hello, Evan and Steven, Randy, Eric. Wow, that's so easy. So you can change the code and just recompile it and run it. You get totally different results. That's programming, right? So that's very basic stuff. But I like you guys to understand this is not magic. This is because we go through the process to change the code, save the code, compile the code, and then running the code. So you get some different results. Okay. What's the assembly language? I think today we are running out of time, but I will cover a little bit more about this in next week. So basically, you can think about assembly language is something ancient. We don't use it anymore, but it's fundamental for the computer to understand it. So they have something represents the 0 and 1. It's very important. It's binary. Okay. And then what's the assembler and the compiler? It's really you store this code and then use this tool to compile it to be 10001111. Something what the CPU can understand. The computer CPU, they are dumb. They don't really understand anything other than 1 or 0, which is called binary. So you don't really have to worry too much about that. So all this code goes through this tool, will compile to something either 1 or 0. They put together. No matter how much magic you want to create, you all come from 0 or 1. And then this is second part of. So after you're doing this, how can you get to this step first? That means this step is really right before the assembler. You need the compiler. So this is really what the programming language, and the compiler is really the Java C here. The compile the code. You can see the code was compiled, and then after that, they use the assembler to run it. So they use the Java hello to run. So there are 3 steps. You write a code, save into a file, hello.java, and then you use the compiler here to compile this code, hello.java, into something called hello.class. Then this class will be run by the assembler, and the machine can understand, they will run. So the hello code will play back some string like, hello, Evan and Steven and Randy, Eric. So this is pretty straightforward. So how the Java virtual machine works, I quickly go through that. You don't really have to worry too much about if you don't really understand. The code will be displayed of 2 number of the print. So you have print 1 and print 2. This is just one typical example. And then save as a Java, so hello.java. And then you use the compiler here, Java C, this is a compiler. And you compile this, convert into something called the bytecode. So this becomes the bytecode. The bytecode output is really something called a class file. Then you use a virtual machine called the JVM to interpret that. So the computer can understand that. Not only computer can understand that, on different operating systems, they can understand it as a local. So that means on Windows, they can understand as a Windows application. On Linux, they can understand as a Linux application. On Mac, they can understand as a Mac application. So this is super important. You don't really have to worry too much about how they make that magic. You just need to understand code. You write the code, after compile, you get a class, and then the class can be run by the virtual machine on different operating systems. Then, boom, you get whatever you want to get. And congratulations, that's our first class. I will post that on the Google Classroom, and I know it's a little bit confused, especially about the file system part, but believe me, this is really important. For Java, I will teach you something slightly more advanced. It's not really like Python. Python, you probably just start without really know too much about the file system. But for Java, I figured out you need to know what's a file system. So yeah, congratulations. You just finished the first class, and we are running slightly longer than what we expect, but that's okay. And I will post all this on the Google Classroom. And yeah, if you have any questions, just ask me at the Google Classroom. I will try to answer your question. You have any question here, you can ask me now. But otherwise, yeah, it's the end of our first lesson. So, Eric, Evan, Randy, Steven. Okay, so I guess you are still digesting what we are learning today. It's a lot because I don't really want to give you too much of this very basic stuff. Instead, I give you a lot, but I will help you to understand that. It takes time, but we will get what we learned, and we will practice, and we will learn together. Whenever you have problems, please post on the Google Classroom. Okay, thank you so much, and you have a great night.